Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with the leader of Becoming Aware Stress Management, relational trauma and awareness expert, Teresa Lodato. After 20 years in the financial services industry, a rare and serious chronic stress-related illness ended it all. Teresa now combines science and awareness to help stressed-out adults and teens get better results with less effort so they live purposeful and pain-free lives. Teresa is an author and speaker in addition to being a highly sought-after coach for forward-thinking individuals and organizations. Enjoy this interview.
Teresa, thank you for taking a minute out to the show today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
You bet. So before we get into your life and what motivates you and makes you who you are, I want to know, looking at the calendar right now, it's March. We all have memories of that 2020 time period. And I'm curious, how did you survive this pandemic period that we just went through? And how has it changed the way that both you live your life and conduct business now?
Oh, good question. Well, personally, I've had COVID 5 times. Thankfully, not so. However, it has created some ongoing health challenges. It definitely was a difficult time for many people. I definitely don't want to disregard the incredible loss that many people suffered. However, I saw it as an opportunity for realignment for our society, for our world. And our nation in particular has this mindset of more, faster, better. And there's nothing wrong with these ideals as long as you allow time for less, slower as well. And so, much like a wave of the ocean comes in and flows out, there's a rhythm to life. And I think we had reached a point where it was time for that kind of reset. Because as you know, if waves come in too strong, too fast, then you end up with a tidal wave. So, COVID was a time for people to shine a light of awareness on their lives and where they're experiencing stress, where they're out of balance, and where their true values lie. And personally, how they want to align going forward. So, we experienced this readjustment across all sectors, most notably in the Great Resignation, quiet quitting, as well as real estate markets, of course. And I think people now are having the opportunity to again reevaluate their lives and the stress they experience as the next wave of alignment comes. So, for my clients and for me, this is a big area of opportunity and really increasing awareness. So it's very exciting.
Well, yeah, and in your line of work, this sounds like it's exactly what you've been doing and what the world is waking up to, because there's never really been a focus on mental health as much as we have it right now. It's really been kind of pulled into the mainstream, and I think that, just like you said, we did have to slow down. I remember the canals in Venice were clearing up. There was all kinds of things. The smog went away in Beijing. There was all of these episodic pieces of nature. I remember at one point, probably around April or May, I worked as a technician in a large school district in the Kansas City metro, and I was driving to one of the schools, and I saw a dog chasing a deer, and I was like, that is so weird. And it's like, because, you know what I'm saying? Because it was like everything kind of slowed down. In fact, at one point, my son's on the autism spectrum, and we were out at a nature preserve doing a call, and there was a bald eagle, and there was people hopping out of their cars with big cameras saying they'd been waiting for this for 10 years. It was like the earth slowed down in such a way that nature woke up in a different way.
Yeah. And and it's interesting to, there is that perspective, of course, but there's also the perspective of all of this stuff has been going on in nature, and we just have not slowed down to witness it and to be there to see it. And so, there's so many different perspectives we can hold on it, but it's that whole idea of slowing time. It's actually one of the themes in the second book that I'm writing. So it's just such an amazing concept for me to consider.
I remember I was in Europe. I was backpacking during September 11th, 2001, and I was in the back of a water taxi in Venice, and finally made my way to kind of this old hippie commune. It's the poor man's Riviera called Cinque Terre. And I went to this little town, Bernaz, and I remember it could have been the night of the 11th. Maybe it was the 12th. I think it was the 12th or 13th. And I remember getting out there by the ocean where there is no light pollution and looking up. And it's amazing, just like the metaphor that you mentioned about nature. It's like once the noise goes away, light pollution and all these other things, the aura of nature really kind of sparkles and punches through.
Absolutely. That just gave me chills. I mean, there's all these relationships we have in life, right? We have relationships with other people, et cetera, relationships with ourselves. But we have this relationship to nature. And I think that was a big opportunity for realignment in that area.
For sure. So let's kind of get to the essence of you and what you do on a daily basis. And I'm going to hypothetically put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day. And one of the kids looks up at you and asks, what do you do for a living? How do you answer that child?
Oh, I would say I help people find the magic that's inside each and every one of us. And then I guide them on how to best use their unique gifts for the greater good of all.
So when you were in the third grade, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you grew up?
At that time, I wanted to be a veterinarian, although it's interesting because I was reading a book, Clan of the Cave Bear. It's by Jean M. Auel, I think is how you pronounce her last name, Auel. And I remember my third grade teacher, math teacher, explaining the concept of zero. And I was like, oh, I just read about that in this book that I read. So for me, there's always been this evidence of connection of science and spirituality. So it's no wonder I wanted to be a veterinarian. You know, I've loved animals, have been involved with animals my whole life, competed in equestrian events across multiple disciplines, do animal-assisted therapy, have been for years. But, you know, at that time, it was a veterinarian. And then at some point in time, adulthood and the realization of, you know, do something that'll make a lot of money and then you can spend time with animals rather than spending all the time with animals and potentially not making a lot of money, came into play. And I don't know if that was the best decision, but I'm doing what I love now. So that's the most important thing.
That is the most important thing. So let's kind of go back to your childhood. Talk to me a little bit about where you were born and raised. And we all have these seeds that are planted in us to become who we are. What were those essential seeds that were planted in you that grew into who you are today?
Yeah, that is a really good question. I was born in the Midwest outside of Chicago and was a daddy's girl if there ever was one. And my sister, you know, and my mother have always been like two peas in a pod. And when I was 9 years old, my father passed away from cancer of the pancreas. And I think when I look back on my life, that was such a pivotal moment for me. Not only did I lose essentially the love of my life at that time, but my mother lost the love of her life as well. And so I wasn't only abandoned in a sense from my father, I was also abandoned in a sense from my mother as well. And so, of course, you know, studying psychology in graduate school, I could go really deep into that. But even more importantly, it changed how not only the relationship, but the stress that was experienced by my mother. I mean, my father was on his way to becoming a millionaire. We were a, upper middle class family. And when he passed away, he had no protections in place. He had no life insurance policy. He had no succession plan for his business. And so everything just went poof. So we went from being kind of, higher income to being almost on food stamps. And so that was an incredible amount of stress that my mother had to experience. And that passed on to us as children, especially me. I developed migraines at 9 years old, although I wasn't diagnosed until I was 18. And migraines have been a theme throughout my life. I've suffered, migraines my whole life. And back in 2009, when I was under a great deal of pressure with my career in a private banking and investment group, I developed a rare and serious form of migraine that causes stroke-like symptoms. And it ended my financial services career, which I had been in for over 20 years. And so, that seed of my father passing, the stress and the trauma that was experienced by me through the relationship of, my mother suffering as well, has really impacted my whole life. And it's actually what has brought me to do what I'm doing now, which is what I'm so incredibly passionate about. And so without that happening, even though it was, gosh, every day I miss my father and I wish he could be back, but it has placed me at this point in my life where I'm able to help so many people.
So who would you consider a role model or a hero for you?
Oh my gosh, there are so many people that I could look to. I believe people come into our lives at the right time, and there's times when, you're ready to grow. What do they say? When the student is ready, the teacher will come. I'm not sure if that was Buddha or Tao Te Ching, but, for me, two that come to mind are Dr. Lisa Miller. She's a psychologist, as well as Dr. Candace Pert, who was a neuroscientist. Both of them, obviously, fields of my study, psychology and neuroscience. But both of these women are and were incredibly brave to look at the human condition as a whole, bridging the gap between science and spirituality. And they both researched the relationship between these, kind of seemingly at odds concepts, and have created a bridge for deeper understanding that brings validity to the previous unseen world, and being able to provide scientific research that is really helping humanity move forward. And obviously, since this is a focus of the work I do, they're definitely two people that I would love to sit down and have a great talk with.
So I guess that's my next question. If you could meet anybody on the planet and spend some time with them, who would it be?
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Candace Pert is already deceased, so it would have to be Dr. Lisa Miller. She is a professor at Columbia, and she has, I can't remember, she has created an organization there at Columbia that's basically the the concept of spirituality and science, and has really focused a lot of her work on the spiritual aspect of ourselves. And so, I would love to, chat with her and just pick her brain about concepts that I have and what she knows. It would just be an incredible experience.
If you had a dream tonight, ran into the 20-year-old version of yourself, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained in your life up to this point, what would you tell your younger version?
I would tell my younger version to trust the intuition that I have always had, and, don't be afraid of it. Embrace it and use it across every area of your life, as well as helping others. I think that is something that only in the past 15 years have I been brave enough to really kind of come out and share that with people. And I'm seeing the impact that I have working with people, helping them with their own intuition, as well as providing my own guidance through my own intuition. But that was something that really at 20, I was afraid of. I was having visions. I was having experiences that I didn't understand. I wasn't really in a safe environment that I could I didn't have any mentors or, people that I could even discuss it with. Obviously there wasn't the internet back then. And, if I could go back and tell my 20-year-old self to do what I'm doing now, oh my gosh, I would be leaps and bounds ahead of the work that I'm doing that's aligned with my life purpose.
So what is the ultimate motivator for you every day? When you get up and you look at your life and what you want to do and accomplish, what really fuels your day?
My clients and the impact that I have on people. When I get up and I speak across the country and, obviously on podcasts and what have you, and, the feedback that I get is, wow, that was such an impact. Wow. How do I not know about this? Wow. Teresa, you've got such wisdom that you're sharing. You gave me this aha, and it's kind of changed how I live my life. And I think that the unique way that I see the world, and each one of us, like I said, has their own unique gifts. And so we all have a unique perspective on the world. But my unique perspective of being able to really know the science and be able to provide that structure so that people can hang these really abstract concepts on it and really be able to integrate the two of them is what makes me just like want to do the work that I do for the rest of my life. It's so exciting to me to set off these light bulbs in people's minds and to have them realize how powerful you really are. And I think a lot of us forget about that, and we let our fears get in the way, just like I did when I was 20. Being able to show other people the power that's within them and the gifts that are within them, it changes their lives so dramatically that it's just incredible to witness. And I'm so blessed to get to see that each and every day.
So in all of the things that you've done in your life up to this point and accomplished, what are you the proudest of?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think raising my children the way that I have. I think being able to negotiate the relationship with my ex-husband, who is a toxic personality type, and being able to create such an incredible co-parenting relationship with him is something I'm extremely proud of. My kids, how they're growing up and the people that they're becoming and the friends that they're choosing and the choices that they're making. I think any parent is proud of their children for, when they're able to succeed on their own and live their life.
So everyone out there has a perception of you, an idea of who they think you are, your family, your friends, clients, colleagues, but you're the one that lives your life. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Well, I like to think of myself as someone who has a lot of wisdom to share and that can create a big impact on this world. I'm proud of the fact that I really stand in integrity and that I'm authentic. Who a person meets at me professionally is also who you would meet personally. And so, those aspects of myself, I feel I'm not only proud of, but I feel like I'm living this aligned life. And, people that know me around me, they witness it and they're so excited. So I get this constant validation. But, definitely living in integrity and authenticity is really important to me.
So, Teresa, if anyone out there wants to learn more about you, your services, hire you, anything related to your world, where should they go?
They should go to my website, which is my name, teresalodato.com. There's also, you can go to the OWL app, and there's information on my contact page. The OWL app is something you can download on either iPhone or Apple. And if you use my code, you get $10, and you can speak to me whenever I have office hours. So it's a great way for you to connect with me, as well as other professionals that are on the Expert OWL app.
Wonderful. Teresa, this has been great. Thank you for being so open and giving us your story. I really appreciate it. Best of luck with everything.
Thanks so much, Joe. I appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, music, and more from around the globe. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino YouTube channel. You can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.